Hey man, what nights does that server so-and-so usually work? Wow, I honestly don't know. What I do know is that you're the laziest stalker in the world. What can I get you? Drunk? Welcome to episode 25 of Behind Bars, Cocktails, and Wasted Nights. I'm your host, Greg. I've been working as a bartender for over 20 years, and over those years, I've seen a lot. My goal here is to share some of those high and low lights with you. Quick warning, this podcast contains sex, drugs, and some language that isn't suitable for anyone under 21 years of age, so you gotta have some ID. For this episode, I got to interview DJ Dylan from Aspen, who you may remember from the Naked Crackhead story in episode 20, The Night I Phoned Jesse, Part 2. The sound quality isn't the best in that episode, because I'm still figuring out the phone call thing. But Dylan was the one who was trying to make a playlist compatible with after-hours gear snorting when he found a naked crackhead in their Airbnb. I'm on shrooms, and Jesse's smashed, so if you can tolerate the sound, there's some quality content and anecdotal corroborations in there. But I digress. Dylan's a southern gentleman from Mississippi, so we thought a great cocktail for this episode would be a Sazerac. There's a very specific, correct New Orleans style of making this, but obviously I don't use it. I came up with a weird 3-glass system that I found success with. If you want to learn how to do it properly, Google that shit. If you want to learn my way, stay tuned. Alright, you're still here. Get 3 rocks glasses. Fill the first 2 with ice, and add water to the one in the middle to chill it. In the empty glass on the right, drop in a sugar cube and pour a splash, a 1/4 ounce tops, of absinthe over the cube and let science start happening. In the ice-filled rocks glass to your left, pour 2 ounces of rye whiskey, Sazerac's great by the way, over the ice. Add 4 dashes of Peychaud's bitters and 2 ashes of Angostura bitters and stir. Now, swirl, stir, or if you're in New Orleans, flip your rocks glass on the right so the absinthe and sugar start to become one. Okay, you're good. Now, dump the ice water out of the middle glass, pour your absinthe sugar solution into that chilled and rinsed glass, swirl it around, and toss most of it out like you're rinsing a martini glass with vermouth. The absinthe can really take over if you're not careful. Then, almost finally, strain the rye and bitters off the ice and into your chilled absinthe rinsed glass, then add a lemon peel for a garnish. There. Now you fancy. Like Kai Ryssdal from NPR. This is his drink. I've made it for him in Aspen. Anyways, as always, if you don't have any of that shit lying around, a shot of tequila and a key bump will get you right for this episode. Okay, on with my interview with DJ Dylan. Alright guys, welcome to episode 25 of Cocktails and Wasted Nights. I'm here with DJ Dylan from Aspen. What's up, Dylan?
Hey man, how's it going?
Super, thanks for asking.
Awesome.
I appreciate your concern for my well-being.
Yeah.
So Dylan's been in the biz for a while. He's a big DJ in Aspen. He's got a contract at the Little Nell. How's that going?
It's going good. You know, we kind of tricked things out for COVID, so I just set up this new vinyl bar at the Little Nell Hotel, and it's more of a lounge, which used to be a full-on nightclub scene in there. We would have a couple hundred people in the space, rocking out like it's 2 a.m. at 3 in the afternoon. And it was that way for several years over the last few years, but with COVID, we had to shut all that down, obviously, so we kind of came up with a new concept, and I built out this all-vinyl listening lounge, which is something I've always been wanting to do, and it's been going great. And it was just going to be a pop-up for the season, but it's been super successful, so we're going to continue doing it through the summer and even next year maybe.
So you're crushing it.
I mean, I don't know about crushing it, but, you know, in the situation that we're in, it's pretty good.
So even with the listening lounge, you still get the chicks in the booth.
I mean, they do like to come in the booth, sure, yeah, absolutely. The DJ booth that we built out is kind of this enclosed area, and we have a plexiglass and the whole thing, you know.
Privacy.
So, yeah. And we have a door that's lockable because I want to protect all my vinyl. So it's this whole room. So, yeah.
And your secrets.
Yeah. So girls come in there. They want to come check it out. I'm like,
you ever let dudes in there?
No, of course not. I mean, if If they want to drop $100 bill or something, sure. But no, they're not really interested in that.
I'm going to ask you something, and we can edit it out later. But have you christened the booth yet?
No.
All right.
Nothing like that.
All right.
Maybe one day.
All right. We'll get there.
It is a 5-star hotel, though. I don't think I need to go there.
So we're hearing a little twang. Where are you from, man?
Mississippi.
Yep. All the way to Aspen.
Yep.
How did that happen?
Well, it's a funny story. I mean, I don't know if it's funny, but I was working in a country bar in the early 90s when, like, Boot Scoot and Boogie came out and all that sort of shit. And it was like this huge warehouse bar, and I had basically just got fired from one of the best bar jobs I ever had because the cocktail waitress that I was dating was scamming the bar, so they just assumed I was as well, and they fired me, which was a learning experience, to say the best. Like,
don't dip your pen in the company.
Yep. So I never did that again.
I never learned that lesson. I mean, I learned the lesson, but I kept doing it.
Yeah. I might have bent the rules a little bit, but it has been a personal rule of mine for many years. But I lost that job, and it was one of the best jobs I ever had. And then I'm like, oh, great, now what? So I took this job at this country bar, which I abhor country music, like fucking hate it. And I was like, okay, but it was hot. So at that time, that was like the resurgence of country music at the time. And it was this huge warehouse. They had like 7 bars spread throughout the entire place. And they quickly realized that I was super fast and on it. So they put me at the point right at the entrance. And I was killing it. I mean, we were making $500-$600 a night back then, which was great.
When is this?
In the 90s, early 90s.
Oh my God, that's like 1,000 today, basically.
Yeah.
800 at least.
Yeah. And so I worked there, and it was great, but it was a flash in the pan, and it, 6 months after, it was just dying. And I'm sitting at a bar one night with this guy I worked with there who was kind of a sketchy character, but he was a lot of fun. He was kind of the guy that would go hang out at the strip joints and take all the strippers back to his house every night. That kind of guy.
Definitely a guy you want to know.
Right. And cool guy, but kind of sketchy, but whatever. But we're sitting at a bar, and he's like, "Hey man, do you want to move to Colorado?" I'm like, "Yeah, actually I do. That sounds really great. Let's do that."
Never thought of it before.
No, it had been on my mind for a while. I did a road trip 2 years before out west, which is the first time I'd ever gone, west of the Mississippi, really. And I fucking loved it. And it had been on my mind for a while.
Crazy that he brought that up. That's insane.
And he just said it, and I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. And we left 3 days later.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you went to Aspen first? Or?
No. We didn't really know where we were going to go. It didn't have a plan. I had a couple lesbian friends that worked at the bar. They're like, oh my God, you should go check out Santa Fe. It's so amazing. I'm like, okay, cool. So we went there. I'm like, yeah, this is too desert for me. I need some trees and stuff. I'm like, I don't dig it. So we kept heading, and we ended up going through Durango first. And I was like, whoa, this is gorgeous. Holy wow.
Right.
I love this. This is so nice. I'm like, I want to stay here. But it was the first town we came to in Colorado. I'm like, well, let's go see what else is around Colorado.
Where there's people.
Right. Yeah. And so we kept going up. I think that's I-50. Anyway, this is back before cell phones. I don't want to date myself or age myself here, but
I date myself often, but I always use hand sanitizer after. Saves me from that last step.
Right. Anyhow, we're heading up north from Durango, and I lost this guy, and I was like, I don't know what happened. He pulled off. I didn't see him, and we lost each other. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I wasn't really worried about it because the guy's a little bit of a sketch anyway.
Right.
And so I camped out a few nights. I went and checked out Grand Junction. I drove around for a few days, and then I stopped in Glenwood Springs to get gas. And I look over the gas pump, and there's this guy, Graham, my friend. I'm like, whoa, hey, man, where you been? It'd been like 3 days. I was like, oh, hey, there you are. I'm like, all right, cool. So we pull out,
But the sketchy guy that you lost,
Yeah.
you ran into him in Glenwood Springs.
Yeah.
And he had no good reason why he was gone for a few days.
I don't know how we got separated, but whatever. But so we pull out a map and lay it out on the hood of the car, and I had my Prelude packed with everything I owned in it, and the mountain bike on the back. And we're looking at the map like, oh, Aspen's just like 40 miles from here. Let's go check it out. I'm like, all right, let's do that. So we drove up to Aspen. I pull my mountain bike off, cruise around town. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is where I want to be for sure. So that was it. And then I ended up moving up to Maroon Bells, which, for those that don't know, Maroon Bells is freaking gorgeous. And back in the day, we were camping like literally right there at the lake.
Wow.
There were no regulations or anything.
I think it's the most photographed place in Colorado, right?
Actually the most photographed mountain in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And back then it was like, oh, just camp right here. And I lived there for 3 months.
Camping.
Yeah. I had my tent right there. I got a job like in a couple days. I went down valley to Glenwood, bought a tool belt and a hammer and a tape measure, and I showed up at a construction site. I'm like, hey, yeah, I need a job. Can you guys help me out? And they're like, oh, you have a tool belt? Okay, cool. And gave me a job. So
it's like community college. What do you need to get in? A pen.
Yeah.
Carpentry job. What do you got? A tool belt? All right, come on in.
Yeah.
Are you Batman? That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And
wow.
I did that for a while, and construction was great. My dad was a carpenter, so I knew what was up, and I did it and actually loved it. And I was actually building this house for Goldberg, who owns Boots and Bellows.
Yeah. And Belly Up, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was building his house, and it's up on the top of the mountain looking down at Aspen. It's just freaking gorgeous. I'm like, yeah, this is a great place to be. And I was enjoying it, and I was like, I love this. But as soon as it started snowing, I'm like, no, not so much. Not so much. But meanwhile, I was trying to get a bar job, and I was always bouncing around town and dropping off my resume to places all over town. And I'd kind of set my sights on this place called Aspen Club Lodge, which later would become the Sky Hotel.
Okay.
Right? So,
which is now
the W Hotel.
The W, okay.
Just built.
But the Sky, that's where I first saw you DJing at the Sky, wearing like an Elvis Presley outfit with like a cape, like the pool.
Right.
People are jumping off the balcony into the pool.
Yeah.
Like you were just like conducting the orchestra of madness. It was awesome.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time at that hotel. It's funny. Over the years, I've been there many, many times, but it's a small town, I guess. But so I kept going by the Aspen Club Lodge and talking to this guy that was the bar manager. I'm like, hey, man, listen, I'm a kick-ass bartender. I've been bartending for like 6 years. I've been doing this since I was 17. In Mississippi, I had to go to a lawyer and get my minority removed, which is like a legal process to where you can actually serve alcohol and not be 21. And I paid like, I don't know, back then it was like $500 or something to this lawyer, which was a lot of money when you're 17, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I did. Anyhow, so I kept bugging this guy at the Aspen Club Lodge, and I would go by and see him like every week or so. I'm like, and it's the all season, so they're not hiring at all, but I'm just trying to put it out there. And he's just blowing me off every single time. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man, whatever. And meanwhile, I start dating this chick. Or going out with this chick.
What's the difference? Hold on. What's the difference?
Yeah, we were exactly
dating and going out. What's going on?
We were hanging out, whatever.
You stooping?
Yeah,
But there's no commitment? Yeah. Is that what we're talking about?
But, so at this point, I'd moved into an apartment complex, and she lived there, and so she was babysitting these two, kids for some single mom. And I would go over and hang out with her and like try to be the boyfriend kind of guy. I'm like, oh, I'll come hang out with the kids, and we'll play, Chutes and Ladders or Candyland or whatever.
You're gonna be the male role model.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so I was doing that with these these two little kids. There was a boy and a girl, and they're probably like 5 and 7 or something. And I did that every week or so, and then a month later I go back, and these kids are a single mom, and I don't know the mom, I don't know the dad, nothing. But I'm hanging out with them. They're a lot of fun, and I'm having a good time. So then I go back to the Aspen Club Lodge, and I see this guy again. I'm like, hey, man, just coming by again just to see. Maybe you can give me a job.
We're talking like 3-4 times by now?
Oh, no, 5 or 7.
5 or 7 times.
Maybe
All right.
more than that.
He knows you're hungry.
I was
You're going